Hey, what's up guys? Kalamazi here, and this is my 8.1 Demonology Warlock guide that so many of you have been asking for. I chose to make this Demonology guide first as it's easily the spec that received the most from 8.1 while also being a blast to play. The fact that it's also a strong spec in both Mythic Plus and Raids makes it an even stronger case for you to check out Demonology. I wanted to mention that I did alter a few of my weak ores in addition to the one in the center that tracks shards, abilities, and CDs recently to now accommodate Nether Portal and a few other spells. If you're interested in acquiring it or any other ones, I have a link to my Twitch and Discord in the description where you can find them both. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Alright, I'm taking a look at the talents we have with Demonology for Mythic Plus. In the first row here, we have the option of basically either Demonic Strength or Bilescourge Bombers, and in my opinion, Bilescourge Bombers is the clear-cut winner here. Its damage was buffed considerably in 8.1, and even though it costs 2 soul shards, it only has a 30-second cooldown compared to Demonic Strength, which has a 1-minute cooldown. If you factor in the random times that your pet's just not with you or stuck on a bridge or a rock somewhere random, Bilescourge Bombers is the clear-cut winner here. Having it up for basically every trash pack that you pull, also providing an insane amount of initial burst damage, really put the talent above Demonic Strength, in my opinion, for Mythic Plus. In the level 30 row here, we had the choice of Demonic Calling, Power Siphon, or Doom. And even though Doom does now scale with Haste, the only real option we have here for Mythic Plus, in my opinion, is Demonic Calling. It's passive and says Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt have a 20% chance to make your next call Dreadstalkers cost 1 less Soul Shard and have no cast time. Obviously, the Soul Shard reduction is nice, and having a bit of additional, utility when movement or mechanics are coming out is also nice. Alright, now in the 60 row, we have the choices of either From the Shadows, Soul Strike, or Summon Vile Fiend as Demonology. And in my opinion, the clear-cut winner here for Mythic Plus is Soul Strike. It got a little bit of a damage buff heading into 8.1, with it being an instant on a very short cooldown that you can cast on the move, while also generating you a Soul Shard makes it the clear-cut winner in my opinion. Summon Vile Fiend is a strong talent, but something that I look to use more so on single target fights with not a lot of movement, and the fact that trash is pretty big in Mythic Plus and you're moving a lot on trash, as well as having random boss mechanics that make you move a good bit, in my opinion, Soul Strike is the clear winner here. In the level 90 row, we have the options of either Soul Conduit, Inner Demons, or Grimoire Felguard, and I have to admit that over the course of the last week or so, I've been between both Inner Demons and Grimoire Felguard a good bit, and I haven't really decided on which one I actually prefer over the other. I will say that Grimoire Felguard provides a good bit more burst damage on certain trash packs or on higher tyrannical keys, but it is on a 2-minute cooldown, versus Inner Demons providing that passive 10% chance to obviously summon a demon to help you, as well as having the 2 passive imps follow you around all the time. So I'd say if you're looking for more of a damage smoothing kind of ability, I'd run Inner Demons. If you're looking for more of a burst ability, Grimoire Felguard's probably where you want to be. I'm probably leaning a bit more towards Inner Demons right now, just overall, but I feel Felguard's also a strong choice for Mythic Plus. In the final row here, we have the options of either Sacrifice Souls, Demonic Consumption, or Nether Portal. And I have to admit, I'm pretty excited where Nether Portal currently is in raid content, but I haven't been able to test with it a whole lot in Mythic Plus. I'll get into that more in a second, though. Unfortunately, Demonic Consumption is not really where you want to be. It's really not nearly as strong as I thought it would be in Mythic Plus, even from testing a good bit on PTR, but at least Nether Portal's decent in certain scenarios, so I'll take it. It's okay. Sacrifice Souls was also nerfed from 5% to 4% in the later stages of PTR. I do feel it's a pretty strong choice for Mythic Plus and probably one of, if not the best in this row. The thing is, both Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt don't really play a huge amount, don't have a huge role in your overall trash damage or even boss damage in a sense overall in Mythic Plus. So it sort of puts you in this weird situation where, like, okay, do I actually want to run Sacrifice Souls or do I actually want to run Nether Portal in Mythic Plus? Because if you think about it, Nether Portal is a talent that's on a 3-minute cooldown. It provides a good bit of burst damage on single target fights and even, I guess, sort of in AoE trash-based scenarios. The thing is, with it being on a 3-minute cooldown, it's not something you can cast all the time. But then again, is it more impactful than Sacrifice Souls in Mythic Plus? That's a question that I haven't actually answered yet, but I do certainly want to test more with Nether Portal in the coming weeks in Mythic Plus to find out. Currently, I'm leaning towards just running Sacrifice Souls. As I said before, it's a passive, buff Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt's damage, and the nerf it received was actually warranted because it was a pretty powerful spell. But with Nether Portal being buffed, with Demonic Tyrant now extending the duration of the demons that are summoned from Nether Portal, it could be a viable choice in Plus, but it's probably going to take a little bit of testing over the next few weeks, so I'd say stick with Sacrifice Souls currently. A great deal of Demonology's AoE in Mythic Plus revolves around proper implosion timing. When pulling a pack with no actual demonic core procs, you should look to build to 5 shards via Shadow Bolt and or Soul Strike, and then enter the Implosion Rotation of Hand of Gul'dan, which will then put you at 2 shards, Shadow Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan again, consuming the last 3 shards, Shadow Bolt, and then Implosion. The reason we cast Shadow Bolt after the last Hand of Gul'dan is to allow time for the imps to spawn from said Hand of Gul'dan. You should be using your Call Dreadstalkers and Demonic Strength on cooldown, but for this example I wanted to focus on Hand of Gul'dan and Implosion specifically. If you have 2 or more stacks of Demonic Core, however, you are effectively able to squeeze in a 3rd Hand of Gul'dan before casting Implosion by following this rotation. You start by building the 5 shards and then cast Hand of Gul'dan, Demon Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan, Demon Bolt, 1 more Hand of Gul'dan, and then Shadow Bolt into a very large Implosion. There will be times where you are following the previously mentioned Implosion rotation and could very well generate 2 or more stacks of Demonic Core, which might shift you into this direction instead depending on where you are rotationally. Either way, Implosion makes Demonology a blast to play in Mythic Plus, and the rotation is not nearly as complicated as it seems. If you're running Bilescourge Bombers in Mythic Plus, it is important to get them on cooldown as soon as possible, which then frees up time for you to enter your Implosion window if need be. Bombers are not affected by your Demonic Tyrant, so the faster you're able to get the spell on cooldown while still using it effectively, the better. I should mention that even though the tooltip says Bombers cast for 6 seconds, the first second is actually comprised of the portal spawning, giving you an actual 5 seconds of Bombers at the targeted location and not 6. Alright, I'm taking a look at talents for single target raid encounters. This has been the build that I've been running for the past few days or so, and I'm pretty happy with it. In the 15 row we have basically the choice of either Demonic Strength or Bilescourge Bombers. As I mentioned, Bilescourge Bombers was buffed considerably damage-wise in 8.1. The thing is, overall Demonic Strength on a 1 minute cooldown versus Bombers being on a 30-second cooldown. If there's fights where adds are present every 30 or so seconds, like Mythic Zool or Vectis, where you can line up Bombers pretty well with every ad spawning, I'd say Bilescourge Bombers is the better choice. However, if it's mostly a single target fight or a fight where adds are present every minute, like Zekboz in a sense, Demonic Strength is going to be your go-to choice there. In the 30 row here we have the option of Demonic Calling, Power Siphon, or Doom. And it is important to mention that Doom did receive a buff, in a sense, in the later stages of PTR, with it now scaling to Haste. The thing is, you don't really see Doom being played a whole lot on single target encounters compared to something like Demonic Calling, even recently, unless there's adds present on a fight like Gahoon, which is sort of a single target encounter, but you can go up top and throw Dooms on the assist, and then generate an insane amount of soul shards, thus pumping more single target damage into the boss. So I'd say in this row, Demonic Calling gets the nod over Doom. In the 60th row, we have the options of From the Shadows, Soul Strike, or Summon Vile Fiend, and in my opinion, and basically everyone's opinion, Summon Vile Fiend is the best choice in single target raid encounters here. It functions very well with Nether Portal, as well as being the best overall choice, a little bit over Soul Strike. Alright, now in the 90 row, we have the options of either Soul Conduit, Inner Demons, or Grimoire Felguard, and in my opinion, for a few reasons, Grimoire Felguard is the winner here over Inner Demons. Soul Conduit is not really something we look at for raid encounters, so it's basically between Inner Demons or Felguard here. And one thing to also mention here is that Grimoire Felguard does synergize very well with Nether Portal, once again, very similar to the way Summon Vile Fiend does, which we'll get to in a minute here. It is worth mentioning that Grimoire Felguard does actually summon a Felguard that will Fellstorm when summoned every 2 minutes, so if ants are spawning in a fight like Mythic Zekvoz or something within like 10 or 12 seconds, it could very well be worth holding your Felguard for those 10 seconds to actually get that Fellstorm on those ads. It seems a tiny bit higher overall for me and most everyone else over Inner Demons, single target wise, so it's gotten the nod for me as in the 90 row for the best single target talent. Alright, now taking a look at the level 100 row for Demonology, the final row we have here for raid encounters, we have the option of Sacrifice Souls, which is a passive, and it says Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt deal 4% additional damage per demon you have summoned. This was nerfed from 5% in the later stages of PTR, but I feel the nerf is warranted. It was a pretty strong talent overall and much better when actually compared to Demonic Consumption or Nether Portal in 8.0. Demonic Consumption is basically the same as it was in 8.0. The main difference here being that the imps it actually consumes, the damage it received per each imp consumed was drastically buffed. Unfortunately, it's still not the strong talent or the best talent in this row, and that basically I would say goes to Nether Portal for single target raid encounters, which is something that makes me very happy because I love the talent. So it costs 1 soul shard, which was changed from 3 in the later stages of PTR, and it says it tears open a portal to the Twisting Nether for 15 seconds. Every time you spend soul shards, that's important, spend soul shards, you will also command demons from the Nether to come out and fight for you. The thing is, it doesn't say that it doesn't account for how many shards you spend. You can spend 1 for Grimoire Felguard, or 1 for Summon Vile Fiend, 2 for Call of Dreadstalkers, or 3 for Hand of Gul'dan. You'll summon the same amount of demons regardless. You can spend 1 shard on a Hand of Gul'dan and summon the same amount of demons as you would spending 2 shards or 3 shards on a Hand of Gul'dan. That's really important, especially when we're going to get into the rotation in a little bit here. I really love Nether Portal. I think it's an awesome talent, and it also gains a good bit of value, at least parse-wise, on fights that last for about 3 minutes and 30 seconds or so, as you can really squeeze in another portal towards the very end of that fight, thus increasing your damage a good bit. I would say that both Nether Portal and Sacrifice Souls are relatively close in the final row here. We saw Sacrifice Souls being played a lot more day 1 and day 2 of when the patch actually came out, but over the last few days and in my own testing as well, most everyone has shifted towards Nether Portal, which thankfully is a talent that I love, and one that I hope you love too. The opener that I've been following, running the Demonic Strength, Demonic Calling build, which you can also see in the top left corner here, is Precast Demon Bolt into Demonic Strength, Nether Portal, Grimoire Felguard, Vile Fiend, Call Dreadstalkers, then 2 1-shard Hand of Gul'dans into Demonic Tyrant. It's important to cast your Call Dreadstalkers a bit later into the opener, as you want to extend their duration via Demonic Tyrant. Opening on them does not allow that, while also pushing your Felguard and Vile Fiend cooldowns back a bit further. Once your Nether Portal expires after you summon your Tyrant, you resume the normal Demonology rotation of 3-shard Hand of Gul'dans, Call Dreadstalkers, and summon Vile Fiend. Be sure to watch your cooldowns around the time Demonic Tyrant is coming off CD, however, as lining them up properly is pretty important. It's worth mentioning that if you're lusting on pull, you're able to actually squeeze in 1 additional 1-shard Hand of Gul'dan before you summon your Demonic Tyrant. If you have enough haste, you're then able to quickly cast 1 final Hand of Gul'dan with the shards generated by a Baleful Invocation for 1 last Nether Portal demon. This will vary based on haste level, so it is something you have to test on your own. I was sitting at right around 44% haste here and also had Berserking in my opener for reference. As far as Azerite traits go, I've been running the build of Baleful Invocation, Supreme Commander, and Demonic Meteor in Mythic Plus. I found this build to be very powerful on both trash and boss attempts, but if you're lacking one of these traits, Archive of the Titans is a solid alternative as well. I highly recommend running 1 Baleful Invocation trait in your Mythic Plus set for the pure value that it brings. In Uldir, I've been running the trait configuration of 1 Baleful Invocation, 1 Supreme Commander, and 1 Archive of the Titans. There's not much give with this build, as all 3 traits are exceptionally strong in raids, and Archive is even more powerful inside of Uldir. I would recommend here also looking for 1 Baleful Invocation piece over any other trait outside of one that grants Reorigination Ray due to the sheer power of the trait. As far as traits go for the 8.1 raid that is set to release in January, I'm looking at a set currently consisting of 3 Supreme Commander, 1 Baleful Invocation, 1 Demonic Meteor, and 1 other trait that will probably be Shadow's Bite or some stat-based proc. With the introduction of Titan Residium, crafting specific sets of gear will not be too hard once you have enough to target specific pieces or trait configurations that you've not yet acquired. As far as actual pets go, your Felguard is going to be the pet you want to run with in both Mythic Plus and Uldir as Demonology. Doing so grants you access to the Demonic Strength and Soul Strike talents that you otherwise are unable to cast with a different pet. The Felguard also deals more damage than any other pet for Demonology, making him the only pet that's damage is not normalized. One of Demonology's greatest weaknesses, however, is that it does not have an actual interrupt outside of the Fel Hunter. If you absolutely need one for a specific encounter in Mythic Plus, you are able to swap to your Fel Hunter, but will lose a good bit of DPS and even more if you've chosen the Demonic Strength or Soul Strike talents that we spoke about with the Felguard. As far as secondary stats go, your best bet is to run a raidbots.com stat weight sim or Top Gear sim to see where your individual character is sitting. Depending on your own levels, your stat weights could be very different from mine or other warlocks, but raidbots will help you dial them all in, maximizing your DPS. I'll have a link to it in the description below, as well as my Twitch if you're interested in any of the weak auras you've seen here. I hope this gave you all a better understanding of Demonology and how we're looking now that 8.1 is actually live. I'm really liking how Demonology feels currently in both Mythic Plus and Uldir, and cannot wait to see how it performs when the 8.1 raid is actually live. Let me know what you think of Demonology in its current form in the comments below. If you want to see more WoW content and help support the channel, smash those like, share, and subscribe buttons, as your support really helps. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see y'all on Azeroth. Peace.